With the 7th pick in the 2009 NBA Draft, the Golden State Warriors select Stephen Curry from Davidson College.
Oh, what a Iguodala foul. Lillard stumbling with 6 tenths of a second. Stylish Iguodala. Thompson fires for 3. Yes! Hits a goal. Golden State survives and wins game 2. Green to the basket, kicks it out of Iguodala. Thompson for 3. Bang!
The Golden State Warriors aren't just one of the best dynasties in NBA history. They arguably also might be one of, if not the greatest drafting teams in recent history. From selecting a generational superstar in Steph Curry to finding hidden gems late in the draft, the Warriors have mastered the NBA draft like no other franchise ever has. Let's break down how the Warriors managed to build one of the greatest teams ever, straight from the draft board. In the 2009 NBA Draft, the Warriors made one of the most important picks in Warriors history by selecting young sharpshooter Stephen Curry with the 7th overall pick. Now, the thing is, this decision by the Warriors wasn't a no-brainer at the time. Experts had concerns about his lack of size, his defensive abilities, and even whether his game style would translate from college to the NBA. But despite all these concerns, the Warriors saw something special in Curry's game. Fast forward to today, and Steph Curry is a 4-time NBA champion, a 2-time MVP, the 2022 Finals MVP, and the greatest shooter in NBA history. That pick alone could cement the Warriors' status as an all-time drafting team, but they didn't stop there. In 2011, with the 11th overall pick, the Warriors selected young sharpshooter Klay Thompson, who over the past decade and a half has arguably become the second greatest shooter of all time. Klay's ability to catch fire at any moment in any game, combined with his elite perimeter defense, made him the perfect complement to Steph. Together, the Splash Bros brought home 4 championships as a dynamic duo, and without Klay, there's no way the Warriors get any of those championships. Along with Steph, Klay helped change basketball forever through his knockdown shooting. Klay and Steph are half the reason why teams are chucking up 43s a night in the current NBA. After all this, you would think the Warriors' consistent draft hits would stop there, but the crazy part is, the Warriors still weren't done finding stars in the draft. In 2012, Draymond Green wasn't even projected to be a top 10 pick. In fact, when the 2012 draft came around, he wasn't even picked in the first round. Unsurprisingly, the Warriors stole Draymond with the 35th pick. At the time, no one expected Draymond to even be a consistent rotational player, let alone become a Defensive Player of the Year, a 4-time NBA champion, and the heart and soul of a dynasty's defense. Draymond's versatility, leadership, and defensive IQ was the reason the Warriors' defensive system worked so well during their dynasty. Getting an all-time great defensive leader as a second-round pick like that is just another reason why the Warriors are clearly elite at drafting. A team's elite drafting skills is not just about drafting the stars. You can't forget about the role players. These players are what brings your team into championship contention. Arguably, these are some of the most important picks a NBA team can make. The Warriors have drafted a ton of key role players that have helped them win championships. Players such as Kevon Looney, who was drafted 30th overall in 2015, became a defensive anchor, hustler, and an elite rebounder off the bench for the Warriors. Another thing that sets the Warriors' draft abilities apart from every other NBA team in the league is that the Warriors don't just draft well at the top of the board. They found and drafted absolute steals deep in the draft. A prime example of this is when the Warriors drafted Jordan Poole with the 28th pick in the 2019 NBA draft. After a few years of development during the early 2020s, Poole became a key scorer and offensive spark off the bench, and was a key piece to that 2022 championship run against the Celtics. Unfortunately for the Warriors, Poole had to be traded during the 2023 offseason due to some on-court and off-court issues with other Warriors teammates. On another note, players like Moses Moody and Brandon Podziemski, both taken with the 14th overall pick in their respective drafts, have shown some serious upside. Podziemski had a great rookie season, with averages of 9.2 points, 3.7 assists, and just under a steal per game, on 45% shooting, while also leading the league in total charges drawn, with 27 charges in his rookie year. Although Podziemski is having a bit of a slow season, he has dealt with minimal playing time and injuries throughout the season. He definitely still has a lot of potential and a bright future ahead of him. And finally, Trayce Jackson-Davis, who was taken with the 56th pick in the 2023 NBA draft. Trayce is already looking like a consistent contributor through his dunking skills, rebounding abilities, pick and roll skills, and relationships and on-court connections with other younger Warriors players. The Warriors' elite scouting doesn't stop at the draft. They've managed to find hidden gems in undrafted players and international prospects. For example, Juan Toscano Anderson from Mexico, who was a key energy guy for their 2022 championship run due to his constant energetic hustle plays off the bench. A more recent example is Gui Santos, who is an international talent from Brazil. Due to recent injuries plaguing the Warriors, Gui Santos has had chances to show what he can bring to the table, and boy did he show up. Over the past 10 games, Gui Santos has averaged 6.6 points per game, with two 15-plus point outings against the Kings and the Bulls, while shooting an elite 43% from behind the arc. Quinton Post is another guy who has taken advantage of the opportunities given to him. Despite not getting barely any playtime in the first half of the season, recently Quinton Post has cemented his spot in the regular rotation through his elite 3-point shooting. In the past 5 games, Quinton Post has averaged 7.6 points per game, while shooting a highly consistent 38% from behind the 3-point line. These players are already showing their worth in their first season in the NBA, meaning they still have time to develop into even better players as time goes on. Of course, no team is perfect. Even the Warriors have made some questionable draft picks over the years. So what was the one big miss? Well, it has to be selecting James Wiseman over LaMelo Ball with the 2nd pick in the 2020 NBA draft. Hindsight is 2020, but at the time, the pick made sense from a Warriors perspective. The Warriors needed a big man, with players like Andrew Bogut and DeMarcus Cousins either retiring or leaving in free agency for other teams. Picking a big man was definitely the best idea at the time, and James Wiseman felt like the right option to set up the Warriors with a tall center for years to come. Also, with Steph Curry still in his prime and with no signs of him ever leaving the Warriors, they didn't necessarily need another guard. But unfortunately, Wiseman never found his footing in Golden State, and is still struggling to find his footing on any team. While on the other hand, LaMelo became an all-star in Charlotte and their franchise cornerstone. Even great teams make mistakes. When you look at everything, the Warriors' ability to draft superstars, find hidden gems, draft capable role players, and develop late picks makes it hard to argue against the Warriors being the best drafting team in NBA history. They built a dynasty almost entirely through the draft. Steph, Klay, Draymond, and the supporting cast of elite role players. You can't argue that no other modern team has drafted this well for this long with this consistency. So what do you think? Are the Warriors the greatest drafting team ever? Or is there another team that has drafted better than the Warriors? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video. Thanks for watching and goodbye.